The human stood at the edge of the dark hallway, holding a scanner in one hand and a worried look on his face. His name was Marcus, a repair engineer from Earth, assigned to help the alien exploration team. Across from him stood Captain Lorena, a tall alien woman with deep purple skin and glowing silver eyes. She was brave, proud, and always ready to challenge danger. But sometimes, her pride was louder than her reason. "This ship isn't safe," Marcus said, his voice calm but firm. "The structure is unstable, and the readings, they're wrong. This place is giving off signals I've never seen before." Lorena smirked and stepped forward, her boots clicking on the old metal floor. "Human, you always worry too much," she said, her voice filled with pride. "It's just an old wreck, nothing more." Marcus moved closer, shaking his head. "You don't understand. The tech inside doesn't match any known species, and it's reacting to movement like it's alive." But Lorena just laughed, waving a hand in the air. "Alive. It's dead metal, floating in space for who knows how long." Then she turned and walked through the broken doorway into the abandoned ship. The air inside shifted, and the metal walls gave a soft hum, almost like a breath. Marcus flinched. Staring at his scanner again, the lines on the screen jumped wildly. Flashing red warnings, he tried calling out, "Lorena, come back please. This isn't normal." She paused for a moment, looking back at him with a smirk. "I'm not afraid of old ghost stories," she said, and disappeared into the shadows. The door behind her slammed shut. Marcus ran forward and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. He tapped on his communicator. "Lorena, can you hear me?" Her voice came through, crackling and faint. "Yes, I hear you. Calm down," she said. "I'm just walking down the hallway. The lights are flickering, but nothing's wrong." Marcus kept trying to override the door lock with his tools. The scanner was still going crazy, now beeping faster than before. Then he noticed something strange. The temperature around the ship was dropping. "Even without power, that's impossible," he whispered. "Ships without power don't get cold that fast, not in space, inside." Lorena walked past walls covered in strange markings. They looked like writing, but not from any language she knew. She touched one with her fingers, and the wall pulsed with a faint blue light. She stepped back, confused. "Marcus, something lit up when I touched it," she said. Marcus's voice turned sharp. "Don't touch anything else. Get out. Now." But she didn't listen. Something about the ship was calling her forward. Each step, deeper into the hallway, felt heavier. Like gravity was pulling her. She tried to ignore it, brushing it off as imagination. Suddenly, the floor beneath her creaked, then shifted. She looked down and saw the metal bending like it was breathing. Her confident smile faded. "Marcus?" "I think this ship is alive," she whispered. He cursed under his breath. "I told you. Now listen to me. You need to turn around and come back. Right now." She tried, but the hallway behind her had changed. The path she had come from was now a wall, smooth and sealed. "No. It was open just a second ago," she said, panic rising in her voice. "I swear it was open." The lights above her turned red, and a low hum filled the air. The air felt thicker, like she was being watched. She reached for her weapon, but the metal of the wall lashed out like a whip and knocked it from her hand. She fell to the floor, gasping, "Marcus, the ship attacked me." He was already working faster, hands shaking as he tried to hack into the ship's systems from the outside. "I'm going to get you out. Just hold on," he said. Lorena crawled backward, but the ship's walls began to close in. Strange. Vines of dark metal grew from the floor, moving toward her. They wrapped around her ankle slowly. Testing her, she screamed and kicked, breaking free for a moment, but more vines were coming. "This is not a normal ship," she said, her voice trembling. "It's like a trap waiting for someone to enter." Marcus finally got a signal through one. Small camera feed lit up on his screen. He saw her Lorena in the hallway. Surrounded by moving metal, he saw the fear on her face. The same face that had laughed at him just minutes ago. He whispered to himself, "You should have listened." The ship wasn't just ancient, it was awake, and now it had chosen its first victim in a long, long time. Lorena crouched low, her back pressed against the cold metal wall. She could hear the soft hiss of something slithering nearby. The strange metal vines had stopped moving, but she could feel them, waiting, watching. Her chest rose and fell fast, her pride now buried beneath fear. She finally understood this wasn't an ordinary wreck. It was a trap, a living machine. With a mind of its own, Marcus's voice came through the communicator again. Sharp and full of urgency. "Lorena, talk to me. Are you hurt?" She looked at her leg, red marks from where the vines had touched her. "No, not badly," she said, her voice shaking. "But Marcus, this ship?" "It moved on its own. It changed the hallway." "I know," Marcus replied, typing fast on his tablet. "I saw it. I'm trying to break into the ship's system, but it's locking me out. This isn't just some forgotten relic. It's got advanced security, like it's guarding something." The air inside the ship grew colder. A mist rolled in from down the hall, even though the ship should have. No functioning life support. Lorena stood slowly, every sound echoing around her like a whisper. "I'm going deeper," she said. Marcus shouted, "No, don't. Let me get the outer doors open first." But she was already moving. There was a pull, something that tugged at her mind. Not with force, but with curiosity. The deeper she went, the more the ship changed. Walls with strange curves, symbols glowing softly as if breathing. It was like the ship responded to her presence, like it remembered her. Marcus tried everything force overrides, code injections, even EMP pulses, but nothing worked. The ship blocked him at every turn. "Lorena, whatever you're doing, don't touch anything. This ship is fighting me." She ignored him again, pride and curiosity dancing in her chest. Just ahead, she found a Roomba chamber shaped like a sphere. Inside, a glowing pillar stood tall in the center, surrounded by what looked like frozen figures. They weren't statues, they were bodies. Trapped in metal, expressions frozen in terror. Her heart pounded. "What is this place?" She whispered. Marcus's voice cracked through again. "Lorena, get out of there, now." But her eyes were fixed on the pillar. The glow called to her, like a song in her head, soft and tempting. One step, then another. The hum of the ship grew louder, like it was excited. She reached out, her fingers just inches away from the glowing surface. Marcus screamed through the cum, "No, don't touch it." But her hand made contact, and the world went silent. Lorena's eyes rolled back as a shockwave pulsed through her body. She fell to her knees, gasping, eyes wide with visions, flashes of stars exploding, cities burning, and screams in languages she didn't know. The ship filled her mind with memories that weren't hers. She saw beings of light and shadow building the ship long ago. She saw their war, their death, their pain. Marcus watched from his tablet as her vitals spiked. "Lorena, disconnect from the source. You're being attacked mentally." But she couldn't hear him anymore. The ship had taken her thoughts, her fears, her past, and was rewriting them. Then the pillar stopped glowing. Lorena collapsed, her body shaking. The metal vines returned, wrapping around her again, but this time, gently, like cradling a child. The ship wasn't trying to kill her. Not now. It was welcoming her, claiming her. Marcus slammed his hand on the wall outside. "Damn it, she's bonding with it," he growled. He activated a backup plana, deep scan, using old human tech frequencies designed to confuse AI. If the ship was thinking, maybe he could stun it, give her time to escape. Inside, Lorena woke up, her eyes glowing faintly. Her voice sounded distant, as if not completely her own. Marcus, I saw everything. They built this ship to hold something, to trap it. What did they trap? Marcus asked quickly. She looked at the glowing core, then at the frozen bodies. A mind, Marcus. A living mind. It's still inside. And now it's inside me, too. He stared at the screen, horrified. Then we need to get you out, before it fully takes control. But the ship began to shift again. Walls moving, doors melting into new shapes. It wasn't going to let her go easily. It had waited centuries for a new host, and it had finally found one. Lorena touched her head, pain flaring in her skull. She had refused Marcus's warning at the start, and now her punishment had begun, not with death, but with something far worse. The ship had made her its voice, and it wasn't finished with her yet. Lorena stumbled down the hallway, her legs weak, her mind spinning. The lights inside the ship dimmed and pulsed like a heartbeat. She didn't know what was real anymore. Whispers followed her soft, cold voices in a language she didn't speak, but somehow she understood their meaning. They weren't words of comfort. They were orders, commands, warnings, and promises. The ship wasn't just alive. It was angry, and it wanted her to obey. She pressed her hand against a wall. But the metal shifted under her touch. It rippled like water, showing her flashes of memory, hers and someone else's. She saw herself arguing with Marcus at the airlock, laughing at his fear. Then the memory changed. She saw the same hallway, filled with fire and screams, dead bodies dragged across the floor, alien crews fighting. And losing, she pulled her hand away, trembling. No, that's not mine. Those aren't my thoughts, she whispered. But deep down, she knew it was already too late. Something had entered her mind, and it wasn't going to leave outside. The ship Marcus worked non-stop. It connected to human drones and forced them to create a digital map of the ship's layout. But the map kept changing, walls moving, new rooms appearing and vanishing. It made no sense. She's inside. A maze, he muttered. And the maze is alive. He looked at his communicator again. Lorena, can you hear me? You need to find a sealed room, a core vault. Something safe before it takes full control. Her voice came back, soft and distant. I can't. The ship knows where I'm going. Before I go, I think. I think it's learning through me. Then stop moving. Marcus shouted, just sit still. Block your thoughts. Don't let it guide you deeper. But Lorena couldn't stop. The ship kept whispering, filling her head with images, some terrifying, others beautiful. It showed her a throne made of stars, a galaxy kneeling before her. It promised power, knowledge, and immortality. It promised to make her more than just a captain. Her pride, once her strength, was now the hook the ship used to pull her closer. She took another step, even though she knew she shouldn't. The floor opened beneath her, and she dropped into a narrow shaft. She screamed as she fell, landing hard on a smooth surface far below. The room she landed in was massive, like a cathedral. Dark stone mixed with glowing lines of alien metal ran across the walls. In the center was a chair not built for any creature she knew. It was tall, sharp, elegant, and alive. The ship whispered again, sit, accept, become. Her legs moved. Without her command, she fought back, shaking her head. No. This isn't what I want, she cried. But her pride whispered louder. You came here because you thought you could control this. Now prove it. She reached for the chair, fingers shaking just before she could touch it. A blinding light burst from the ceiling. Marcus had triggered a stun pulse from the outer drone, hoping to distract the ship's attention. The light burned her eyes, and the whispers stopped for a moment. Lorena gasped, stumbling back, her skin steaming from the heat. The pain cleared her mind just enough to hear Marcus again. I stopped it, but only for a few seconds. He said, "You need to run. Now." She looked at the chair again, now dark and still. Her fingers itched to touch it, but her heart was racing with fear. The truth hit her like a punch. She wasn't strong enough to resist the ship. "Not alone, Marcus," she said, voice breaking. "I made a mistake. I should have listened to you from the start." He took a deep breath. "Yeah, you should have," he replied. "But you're still alive, and that means we still have a chance." Lorena turned and ran, the walls behind her closing like jaws. The ship roared not in sound, but in vibration. Every surface shook. Every shadow reached for her. It was angry, and it was waking up faster than before. The further she ran, the more pain filled her head. She stumbled, fell, crawled, then stood again. But she didn't stop, for the first time since entering. Her pride had been crushed. All she wanted now was to escape. Behind her, the throne room sealed shut, and the chair lit up on its own. The ship wasn't done. It had tested her, measured her will, and now it had learned exactly what it needed to truly break her. Lorena fell to her knees, gasping for air. Her lungs burned, her mind throbbed, and her vision blurred. But she was still alive. Still herself barely. The whispers had faded, but something darker had taken their place. A silence too deep, too still, as if the ship was watching. And waiting. The hallway around her had changed again, no longer metal and cold. Now the walls were made of strange stone with pulsing lights running through them. It looked ancient, older than her species, older than the war itself. This wasn't just a ship, was a memory buried in space. "Marcus," she said weakly. "I think I've reached the center." His voice came through with a sharp crackle. "I lost your signal for almost 2 minutes. I thought you were gone. Where are you? What do you see?" She looked around, then slowly stood up. Ahead of her was a large door, unlike any she'd seen. It was circular, with rings that spun slowly, covered in symbols that made her eyes hurt. There was no control panel, no buttons, just the soft hum of something waiting behind it. "I'm at a sealed entrance," she replied, "but it's not locked. It's listening to me." "Don't touch it," Marcus warned. "You're near the ship's core, and we don't know what's powering it, I think." "It's not power," Lorena whispered. "I think it's a prisoner." Marcus froze. "A prisoner." He repeated, "What do you mean?" Lorena walked closer to the door. As she stepped forward, the rings on the door began to spin faster. The lights in the stone walls brightened, turning gold. Then the door slowly opened with a sound like distant thunder. She stepped inside, her breath caught in her throat. The room was massive, like the inside of a star. The walls shimmered with moving lights, showing images that flickered in and out of view. Battles, planets, star systems collapsing. At the center of the chamber floated a black sphere, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The sphere spoke directly into her thoughts. "You have come far, child of pride. You seek knowledge, power, meaning." Her knees buckled. "What are you?" she asked aloud, her voice barely a whisper. "I am the first pilot," the voice said. "I am what they tried to destroy. I am what they failed to contain." Marcus was shouting in her ear, but she barely heard him now. The voice was everywhere. Inside her, around her, part of the air she breathed. "They built this ship to imprison me," it continued. "They thought they could seal my mind behind walls of metal and light, but time breaks all cages." Lorena tried to back away, but her feet wouldn't move. The sphere pulsed again, brighter this time. She saw herself in it not as she was, but as something else, her body covered in armor of light. Eyes glowing, ships kneeling before her. It offered her everything: glory, strength, command over systems no one else had touched. All she had to do was say, "Yes, you're a weapon," she said out loud, tears forming in her eyes. You were used in the Great War. They tried to erase you. No. The voice said softly. They used me, then feared me. Now. I only want freedom. Marcus's voice suddenly came in sharp and clear. Lorena, do not accept anything from that thing. It's not a mind, it's a virus with a voice, but it doesn't feel like a virus, she whispered. It feels like sorrow. Marcus was already rerouting energy from his ship's reactor. I'm going to disable the core remotely. I can overload the system for 10 seconds. That's your only chance to run. But it's not attacking me, she said. It's offering me peace. It's not peace, Marcus snapped. It's a trick. That's how it works. It promises what you want. Then it becomes you. Lorena looked again at the sphere. She could feel the pain inside it. Real or not, it was strong. She could take it in, use it. Be more than she ever imagined. Her pride whispered again. You deserve this. But she also heard Marcus, the one who warned her, the one who tried to save her even when she didn't listen. He had nothing to gain, only risk, yet he stayed. She took one shaky breath and shouted, Do it, Marcus, shut it down. A high-pitched whine filled the chamber as the energy spikes surged from Marcus's ship. The sphere screamed, not with sound, but with force. The images in the walls cracked and shattered like glass. Lorena ran. Pushed back by the pulse of energy and falling debris, the ship roared again, this time louder than ever before. But she didn't look back. She ran until the doorway closed behind her and the lights dimmed again. The voice was gone. The sphere was quiet, and in the silence, Lorena finally understood what lay in the heart of the ship wasn't just power. It was a test, and she had passed it. Lorena collapsed outside the core chamber, her body shaking. The door behind her had sealed itself with a deep thud. She lay on the floor, breathing hard, eyes wide with the weight of what she had just escaped. Every part of her ached, not just from the running or the heat, but from the voice that had tried to root itself deep inside her mind. She had refused its offer, but it had still touched her, left marks not on her skin, but in her thoughts. She could still hear faint echoes, flickers of that ancient sorrow that had almost consumed her. Marcus's voice came in again, soft but steady. You're still alive, aren't you? She nodded, then remembered he couldn't see her. Yes, she said, her voice hoarse. I shut it out. Just like you said. There was a pause on the line. You did good, Lorena. But you're not safe yet. The ship's still shifting, and I can't keep its systems offline forever. She pushed herself up with shaking arms. The hallway in front of her was unfamiliar again, new turns, new lights, as if the ship was trying to confuse her. But something had changed. The anger in the air had turned into silence, not peace but watchful silence, like the eye of a storm. Why me? She whispered, more to herself than to Marcus. Why did it choose me to speak to? Marcus answered, because you're proud, like it once was. You have the same fire. And it thought it could twist that fire into something dangerous. She clenched her jaw, remembering how she had laughed at Marcus, ignored his warnings. She had thought human fear made them weak, but now she understood fear was not weakness. It was wisdom earned through pain as she walked. Every step reminded her of her limits. Her muscles screamed, her legs wobbled, and her hands trembled. The pain wasn't just physical. It was a lesson written into her body. A message from the ship. Next time, you won't be strong enough to walk away. She passed by a broken window in the wall. Outside, the stars looked different. Her sense of direction was gone. She wasn't sure if the ship had moved or if space itself had changed. Marcus, she said, how far am I from the outer hatch? He checked the layout map, frowning. If you're where I think you are, you've got 2 more levels to climb before you reach the surface deck. But the elevators are offline, so you'll have to go through the maintenance ducts. Wonderful. She muttered. She found the entrance to one of the ducts behind a collapsed corridor. It was narrow, dusty, and cold, but at least the metal didn't move in there. As she crawled through the duct, she thought about the ship. Not just what it was, but what it had almost made her. It didn't want to kill her. It wanted to use her, become her, and wear her face like a mask. It offered her power, because that was what it used to control. She paused in the dark, whispering to herself, "I could have ruled worlds." Then she shook her head. "But I would have lost myself." That was the pain the ship didn't show at first. Not the physical kind, but the loss of who you were. The slow fading of your voice under something. Louder, older, crueler. Finally, she reached the end of the duct, pushing open a vent that led to the upper deck. The lights above flickered as if recognizing her. The air smelled burnt, like ozone and fear. Marcus's voice returned, sharp and clear. "You're almost there. The docking hatch is up ahead. I've prepared a pulse charge. It'll blast the door open for 10 seconds only, so don't waste time." "I won't," she said, her voice firm again. The pain was still there, but now it carried purpose. It reminded her of what she nearly became and what she still had to fight for. She ran down the final corridor. Boots slamming against the floor, the ship began to shake. Again, walls rumbling. Doors grinding shut behind her. It was waking up again, faster this time, like it had learned from her resistance, and was preparing to crush her will completely. The hatch came into view, glowing red, pulsing like a heartbeat. She reached it. Just as Marcus activated the pulse, the door burst open with a roar, hot air rushing past her. She dove through, rolling onto the cold floor of the docking bridge. The door slammed shut behind her, sealing with a heavy hiss. For a moment, all was quiet. Then Marcus appeared beside her, reaching down and pulling her up. "You made it," he said, smiling faintly. "I didn't think you would." She looked at him with tired eyes. "Neither did I." Together, they stared back at the sealed door, the ship behind it still alive, still thinking, still watching. Lorena touched her chest. The pain was still there, but now it was her armor. Because pain, she had learned, was a teacher. And this time, she had listened. Lorena sat in the med bay of Marcus's ship, her back against the wall. Her armor was cracked, her skin bruised, but her mind was what truly felt broken. The whispers had stopped. The ship was far behind. Yet a piece of it still lingered. Inside her, she could feel it, like static in her blood. Not fully alive, but not gone either. Marcus stood at the other side of the room, typing on a control panel. He didn't look at her right away, but his voice was calm. "You're safe. Now, but not for long." She looked up, eyes dull. "What do you mean?" He turned the screen toward her, showing her brain scan. "There's a trace signal in your neural pattern, a small loop of code like a seed. It's from the ship, still active, still feeding on your thoughts." Lorena's hands clenched into fists. "So I didn't escape," she said quietly. "I just brought a part of it with me." Marcus nodded. "Exactly." He walked over and placed a small metal device in her hand. "This is a neural disruptor, human tech, old but effective. If we don't remove the code now, it'll spread, rewrite who you are." She stared at the device, her throat dry. "What happens if it doesn't work?" "Then you're gone," Marcus said, not cruelly, just honestly. "And something else takes your place." She swallowed hard, then nodded. "Do it." Marcus helped her onto the medbed, locking the straps gently around her arms and legs. "This will hurt," he warned. "I know," she replied. "Do it anyway." He placed the disruptor behind her neck and activated the interface. The lights in the room dimmed, and a low hum filled the air. The machine began to pulse, sending tiny shock waves into her nervous system. At first, it was just pressure. Then it turned into fire. Lorena screamed, her back arching as pain exploded. Behind her eyes, the seed inside her mind fought back, trying to survive. Images flashed, stars collapsing. Black wings, ancient voices calling her name, Lorena. Accept us. Become one. No, she cried. I won't be your shell. Marcus increased the disruptor's strength, sweat rolling down his forehead. Hold on, just a few more seconds. The machine crackled, sparks flying as the code inside her brain began to burn. Then, with a final surge, the disruptor beeped once and powered down. Lorena collapsed onto the bed, unconscious. Marcus rushed to her side, scanning her vitals. The code loop was gone. Erased. She was alive, but barely. He sat beside her for a long time, listening to the steady beat of the monitor. She had risked her life not just once, but twice. First by walking into the ship, and then by choosing to be free of it. Not everyone would have had the strength to say no. Twice, hours passed before. She opened her eyes. The ceiling above her looked like the stars she once dreamed of commanding. Marcus? She whispered. I'm here, he said softly, stepping into view. You're clean, it's out. She tried to sit up, wincing at the pain in her chest. It was stronger than I thought, she said. It didn't want to leave Marcus. Nodded, sitting beside her. You're stronger than it thought too. She looked at him for a long moment, then said something she had never said before. Thank you. For saving me, Marcus smiled, tired but relieved. You're welcome. She leaned back, breathing deeply, for the first time in what felt like forever. Her mind was quiet. No voices, no promises. No lies, just her. And yet, she knew this wasn't over. That ship was still out there, sealed but not destroyed. And it would wait again for another curious soul, another proud heart. But this time, she would be ready. I'm going back, she said suddenly. Marcus blinked. What? Not now, she continued. But one day, I'll go back to that ship. I need to understand what it was, where it came from, and why it chose me. Marcus shook his head slowly. You're crazy. Lorena smiled faintly. Maybe. But now I'll be ready, he sighed. Then stood up. Get some rest, warrior. The galaxy will still be here when you wake up. She closed her eyes, letting his words settle in her mind. She had paid a price, a painful one, but pain had taught her what pride never could, that sometimes strength means listening, and survival means letting go. The stars outside Marcus's ship drifted by slowly, peaceful, cold, and distant, inside the medbay. Lorena sat in silence, staring at her reflection in the polished wall panel. She no longer looked like the proud captain who had walked into that cursed ship. Her eyes had changed, not in color, but in depth. There was weight behind them now. Marcus entered quietly, carrying 2 mugs of hot broth. He placed one beside her without a word. She didn't speak either, just gave a small nod of thanks. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was respectful, learned through fire and pain. After a long pause, she finally spoke. Do you think I was weak? Marcus sat beside her and took a sip of his drink. No, he said simply. I think you were too strong in the wrong places. She frowned slightly. What does that mean? It means you tried to fight something with pride when you should have used wisdom. You didn't trust anyone but yourself. And that's how the ship almost won. She looked down at her hands. I thought being a leader meant never showing fear, never doubting, never needing help. Marcus shook his head. That's not leadership. That's ego. Real strength is knowing when to listen, when to ask, and when to stop. She let out a slow breath. I heard its voice even after the disruptor. Just echoes, faint and distant. That's normal, Marcus said. You had something ancient inside your mind. It may take time to fully clear out. She was quiet again, her eyes returning to the stars. I saw a future, she said in the core. It showed me a galaxy at my feet, armies, ships, control. And I liked it. Marcus didn't flinch. I believe you, but it was a lie. She added quickly, I understand that now. It only promised what it thought I wanted. To own me, he nodded. That's how the smartest traps work. They don't use chains. They use dreams. She turned to him. Something burning in her eyes. Do you think we can stop it fully? Destroy it? Marcus sighed, setting down his mug. That ship is a fortress, a mind wrapped in metal and memory. But we can warn others. Lock the area, put it off limits. Make sure no one else gets caught, but you know someone will try. Again, she said. Another captain, another crew who thinks they can handle it. Yes, he said. That's why someone like you needs to tell the story. She blinked, confused. Me? He nodded. You survived it, you fought it, and you came out stronger. People will listen to you. She leaned back and looked at the ceiling. I used to think strength was about never being wrong, but now I know it's about learning from being wrong. Marcus smiled. Now you sound like a human. She chuckled softly. Don't push it. Later that day, the two of them stood in the ship's command room. The star charts glowed faintly on the screen, and Lorena marked the cursed ship's coordinates with a red warning. She added a note in 3 galactic languages. Do not enter sentient weapon contained. Her fingers hovered over the console. Then she added something else, a name, Siren. Of silence, Marcus looked at her, raising an eyebrow. That's what you're calling it? She nodded. It sang lies in my mind, but in the end, I refused to listen. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Let's go home, as they left the command deck. The stars moved gently in the distance. Lorena didn't look back, not at the map, not at the past. She had walked through a nightmare and come out scarred but wiser. The pain had been real, but it had broken something that needed breaking. Her pride. Now she carried a new strength, not built on arrogance, but on understanding. She finally understood what it meant to lead, not with fear, but with wisdom, not with pride, but with truth. And in that quiet moment, as the stars lit her path forward, Lorena knew she was no longer a captive of her past. She was something more, not a victim of the ship, but a warning to the galaxy, a living message. And her voice, once full of stubborn pride, would now carry the weight of a survivor's truth. The siren of silence would wait again, but this time the galaxy would be ready, because she would make sure of it.